One. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Interviewing the Legends. I'm your host, Ray Shasho, steeped in the magic and mystery of an artist's life and the Hollywood movie machinery, vintage futurism, storytelling. Kelly Deco moves through space and time with imaginary twists on figures we sometimes see in the sky and know in our hearts. The stars first aligned for Kelly in 1990 when the release of Big Fish and the independently produced video for No Reality became widely publicized. The No Reality clip was played on numerous nationwide video programs. In 91, it garnered national attention. It ultimately charted in Billboard's viewers' top request and was the most requested video on Night Tracks. Deco's latest album, Constellation, was produced by legendary and Grammy Award-winning music producer Val Garay, associated with the likes of Linda Ronstadt, James Taylor, Kim Carnes, and the list goes on, and released through Deco Entertainment. Val Garay is a legendary producer and engineer who has garnered five, yes, count them, five Grammy wins, over 100 gold and platinum records, an Emmy nomination, and over 25 million worldwide record sales. Val's award-winning work with James Taylor, Kim Carnes, Elton John, The Motels, Bonnie Raitt, Pablo Cruz, Neil Diamond, Ringo Starr, of course, Linda Ronstadt, and more is just the beginning. The album has 11 brand new songs with standout tracks: Automat Girl, David Bowie's Brain, and the latest single and video, Creature Dreams. As Deco states, you are from the sky. Do you wonder why? If you are looking for retro, futuristic rock, love, and fantasy, songs with a mix of old 70s rock and futuristic spins on Bowie, Meatloaf, Anthony Newley, and an eclectic mix, Constellation is the album for you. Please welcome singer, songwriter, guitarist Kelly Deco and Grammy Award-winning producer, engineer, and songwriter Val Garay to Interviewing the Legends. Hello, guys.
Hey, thank you. Nice to be here.
You know, it's
Hey,
funny you mentioned Anthony Newley. I had a retail electronics stores in D.C. at the JW Marriott Hotel, and Anthony Newley walked in one day.
Yeah.
My mom shouted out, "Charles Aznavour." And I said, "No, Mom, it's not Charles Aznavour. It's Anthony Newley." Little embarrassing moment.
He was hot. He was hot.
Yeah, definitely. He had a very distinct voice, didn't he,
Yes,
Anthony?
he did.
Yeah. Well, I like Constellation. Okay. Produced by the great Val Garay. And it's a very interesting album. It's kind of rock, operatic type, like a rock opera type. There's shades, of course, of 70s rock. You kind of hear like I don't know, the Tubes in a way, how they came across. Rocky Horror show as well, a horror show. It's very clever, very, very clever. Talk about the album and how this all came together.
Well, those are all people who I admire and bands I admire, including I'm friends with the drummer from the Tubes, and all their music was based on choreography and a show, so it's all basically rock show. When I write all the music first, and then I wait for the inspiration of the words to come to me. And so I intentionally pointed my mind out into the outer universe of things and art and love and eclectic and interesting things. And I intentionally thought of Bat Out of Hell and all that stuff. And
Meatloaf too, yeah.
the Meatloaf, yeah. And the energy with the piano. And so all the songs I wrote them with the guitar on basically two-string melody type riffs, like Bacharach or something. When you hear those, songs. And then I'd run over to the classical pianist I work with, Paul Franks, and we'd run it down until it was down enough, just on an iPad, and that was it. And once I got enough songs, I think I had close to 30. I'd start putting the words, and then they just all came like a big rock show. They came with the ideas of like Creature Dreams, or Things from the Sky, or Love, or Constellation. The idea is relationships are not just one thing or another. There are a lot of things put together, and all these artists that I loved, I mentioned Bowie, and Howell recently passed away when I had just finished or approached writing the words and stuff. So I figured, well, this is a clear slate. I could easily use my influences and things that I loved and just run with it and run hard with it. Because if you're going to go that way, you're going up against some big names.
Oh,
and
sure.
So if you really don't have anything to say, you don't have any heartache and pain and real stuff that comes out, it's going to show. Luckily for me, I'd gone through a lot of pretty tough times with people I know dying and divorces and etc. And so I was primed to really step into more of a real grown-up approach, like Sinatra would do. Someone who would be take it seriously and be able to pull it off. And the rest was just all these influence I had. Anthony Newley, Bowie got all that from him, about interesting kookiness and drama, and of course Sammy Davis Jr. when he performed the Newley songs was unbelievable. So you look into that side of it and you go, okay, this is a big path that I'm going to aim this down.
It is.
So
it is a big path.
I know, and it's almost like, right, good luck, right? So the best thing we could do is make sure you know what you're going to do and make sure you get it clear and get it right. So the next thing, once the songs came together with the pianist, classical pianist, he plays really classical. I mean, well, you can hear that in there. It's like that Jim Steinman stuff. Oh, he's playing a lot. That's the Meatloaf pianist.
Right.
Wrote the songs for me. Anyways, so when it came to who's going to produce it, I had worked with Nick for quite a few years, close to 40 years, and I said, I really want to get that early 70s, raw but clear sonic, punchy in your face sound. And then I mentioned the names, and I mentioned Ron Sant, and I'd mentioned this, that I'd heard this song from Andrew Gold that just really stuck with me. And he said, well, that's Val Garay. And if, he practically invented that sound, and, if you could get him to do it, it'd be a miracle. And then here I am, the miracle happened, and I got really lucky to work with someone like Val. And he's a wonderful person, really nice, thoughtful person, but he's also a genius. And that's the thing you need. I mean, I'm glad he's a nice guy, but the genius that he had and brought to this record was something that it's just instilled in him. When you go to a restaurant and it's Spago, and someone the chef is not going to get it wrong, and maybe you're going to pay, of course, but when you get it, you're going to get the right thing. You're not going to return your dish because someone didn't know how to do whatever you're pushing them to do. And in rock and roll, the sound that I wanted and was hoping to get, Val Garay got, and that it's really shocked me. It still shocks me to this, and I'm kind of, obviously, I'm not without words about it. I speak a lot about it, but it surprised the heck out of me, because people talk a lot, and they like to pretend that they're this, and we can all do this stuff at home, and anyone can do this. And
right.
The truth is, they cannot.
Yeah.
And it was a miracle, and I'm lucky that I had worked with Val, and the sound he got is going to be there forever. And that's why I'm talking to you now. Between that and later on working with Johannes, the great album artist, and of course, even the company I'm with, Deco, now is kind of a legendary. They work with those bands that have been around forever and try to stay around.
Val, when did you first enter the picture of getting interested to produce this album?
Well, as Kelly mentioned, I was approached. Nick Timbrook is a arranger composer that I've been working with for the last 20 years. Done a lot of projects together, and including the latest song from the movie Holiday Twist, which comes out December 1st, which we did the title track with Jake Miller, and also we wrote and did the opening title track with Square, who's a famous artist. And he came to me and he said, you know, I worked with this guy, Kelly Deco, for years, and he said he's an interesting artist, very eclectic, and he wants you to do this record with him. And it's not a big budget record. It'd be more of you know, an artistic endeavor. And so you know, he played me a demo of a couple of the songs, and I said, yeah, I think I'd like to do this. And so we set a week of time aside and went into a studio that I liked, a little studio in the Valley that I'd worked at before. Actually, I did a band called Drama Rama in that studio years ago. And that's how I knew about it. And in 5 days, we cut the whole thing.
Really? 5 days? That's amazing. Wow. I can't even imagine.
Kind of done pretty much live. The only real additions to any of it was after we'd recorded it, was, you know, Kelly sang a lot of the vocals live when we tracked it. We added some background vocals, which you can hear, 3 girls that are pretty amazing. And, you know, maybe a guitar solo here or there. I don't remember now, but pretty much everything we did, we tracked in that 5 days. You know,
the sound quality is great, by the way. You did a wonderful job engineering the project.
I mean, you know, it was a labor of love, and
yeah.
I fell in love with Kelly Deco and his songs and his style. To me, people ask me, well, it's kind of a rock opera, rock album, and I go, and it's not really your wheelhouse. And I go, well, that's really not true. I did the first Queensryche record, which was their biggest record, The Warning. And I did about 6 albums that I produced and engineered with Gene Simmons that were heavy metal stuff that actually one of them made the cover of Cream magazine, which they made a big comment about, how does a Linda Ronstadt engineer end up doing heavy metal? I mean, people do, you know, they pigeonhole you in
they
terms
do.
Of
yeah.
style that you're big at. Well, yeah, I had made big records with James Taylor, who was kind of a soft rock guy. I made a lot of big records with Linda, who was, you know, kind of a part of the California country pop sound and the Eagles and that whole era.
Yeah.
But I did, you know, Marvin Gaye, and I did Stanley Tarantine jazz records, and I did Bird and the Blackbirds and Taste the Honey and R&B stuff. So I mean, I pretty much.
Why not?
It's music to me. It's
exactly
not
style.
And I try to lend my sensibility to whatever style it is they're doing, and that's what I did with Kelly Deco's record. He wanted a sort of a rock edge to it, which I gave it, but he also wanted that separation and clearness, and I gave it that. And you know, great record.
I'm going to talk about some of the tracks on the album. First of all, Destination Fascination comes right out of the gate. You know, very, very cool song. Sounds like a hit. You know, sounds like Rocky Horror Picture Show type of thing. Great guitar work on that as well. So that was a great track to, you know, start out with. And I like your little references, like Turn It On had a Beatles references, you know, on it with It's Getting Better All the Time.
Exactly.
Yeah, very clever.
Well, who I am. And like I said, you know, it's been so many years. I think we need to say that stuff again a little bit here and there if we can.
Yeah, know, exactly.
To be a better place.
Yeah, really. It's going to take a lot more than that, though. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Talk about David Bowie's brain. Where did that come from?
Well, like I was saying before, it's all these people who influence me and what I like what they do. I've always loved Mick Ronson.
I loved Mick Ronson, man. He was great. What a great guitar player.
For years, I had a guitar player who looked like that, and I made him not wear a shirt and all that, so he could do the whole thing. And that was great. Chicks love it. And so, yeah, it was the whole idea was now that, you know, bam, David Bowie's gone. And so
Yep.
What's up with that? How do you get inside the mind of a genius
Right.
and what's really in there if you do? And I thought, well, that's interesting. Now let's take that on. That's, I always made a point of on this record trying to tackle difficult things. I'm a very big fan of Jimmy Webb,
Hmm.
and all the other great writers of the era, Laura Nyro, etc. So I thought, well, what do you do if you get in there and try to figure out what's going on in David Bowie? What kind of references do we have about things he liked? The Jimmy Limo thing. That's Iggy Pop. I talked, so I know ins and outs of his life, or I thought I would. And you put it together and you really realize no one's going to figure out David Bowie's brain. And you go in there and you dig around and have a good time. Basically a fashion show.
Yeah.
And so
Very,
it kind
very
of,
cool.
yeah. But I like the song. It's a great,
Yeah.
super easy to listen to melody.
Sure.
And so drives the whole song.
I've got one comment. I love the album. Some of these tracks need visual videos.
Yeah.
I mean, well-produced videos like Automat Girl.
Yeah.
I could see that being a video, a music video. You know what I mean? In that kind of format, because your whole album's kind of visual. You can picture the whole thing in your mind, and I know it'd be a great stage show, right? I mean, it could be an elaborate stage show if you got the money.
Right. So we've done 5 lyric videos already, and then Deco Records is working on the second one that they're releasing.
Okay, I know you got Creature Dreams out there,
and now they're releasing Waiting on a Girl. It'll be coming out for a Christmas release.
That's a good one.
Yeah, so
it's kind of a punkish tune, right? Punkish, and
it's got a rock edge.
A little rock edge, right?
Mm-hmm. So the idea is, everyone's waiting. It's set in Christmas time, and she gets it's about delivering the gift. So but that song was really personal to me. It's weird that even the silliest songs, if they're not personal, as a singer or a writer, it's hard to deliver it, because if you're just phoning it in, no one's going to care. But if you take it to heart and there's actually really a person you're singing about or two,
right,
it makes a huge difference. It becomes painful if you do that, because you find yourself breaking down for no reason, because you know what it's about. And it's about
right.
And everyone's saying, "What's wrong with this? It's a silly song," but it's actually about something, and then it gets kooky at that point. So that's the answer to that. But we do have videos. We'd like to, as the budgets increase or we get that, we'll do that. And of course, the whole record. I've approached a friend of mine who does write plays and
good
musical production. So it's all in the works. But what's going to come up, time will tell. I plan to be around for a while, so hopefully I'll get a chance to do all that. And
stage production would be incredible.
It would be, even a shrunken down version.
For concert.
Yeah, I'd love it. And playing live is something I'm looking forward to do next too, because it's just I can get out there and just let it all go now that I've rehearsed these things a million times.
Waiting for the Girl. I was a top 40 DJ back in the late 70s, and I think I'm pretty good at picking the hit from a record. I think Waiting for the Girl's a hit. I think that's the one that could be a big hit.
Well, that's next. Maybe you'll be right. But it's also, that one's getting a couple of radio stations overseas in Scotland, and I don't know where it was already. One's playing that one.
Oh, good.
Thanks to friends of, I think they're friends of Val's, quite frankly. So we're doing the best we can, but it's great to have something good to talk about, and thank you for being interested in it to talk about.
Sure, of course.
But really, it's all because of the production of Val Garay and maybe my kookiness and his perfection. It's a nice compliment. He makes a great martini, by the way, too.
Mr. Tomorrow's another good hit, another great tune.
That's interesting, because Chip through PR said we should run with that one, and we've always just overlooked it. But that's interesting. You should say that.
Oh, Chip said that, huh? I've known Chip now for almost 20 years, I think.
I was surprised that he said that. He said, "No, that's." And how do you know? You don't know. No, but I don't. I'm gonna one at a time put it out there and see how.
Exactly.
Something sticks and keep going.
Voyage to the Silver Sun gave me a kind of an Alice Cooper vibe for some
Yeah,
reason.
yeah. I love that song because the whole it's between that and Jethro Tull right in there, the same kind of thing going on with that. And
Yep.
stuff is going on, and it's really just galactic fantasy, and you're just wrapped up in it. And yeah, but you're right. That's great. I love Alice Cooper too. It's wonderful. I met Nick Tembrook through Alice Cooper's. Some people were involved with him over in Century City. But yeah, lovely. Those are great names.
Yeah, man. There's another one, Dancing at the Fall. You know who that one sounded like? The Clash.
Yeah. Well, yeah, how can you not like the Clash? How could
Yeah.
I mean, brilliant. Yeah, that whole rhythm thing going, and that poor guy had a bizarre end out of nowhere. Heart attack or whatever it was, a bad heart valves, and next thing you know, you're gone.
I know.
And
You never
that's the
know,
thing.
man.
That's why I'm glad to
Life
be
is short.
that I'm talking to you. Right? So it could be me tomorrow. Who knows? I don't. It's, but meanwhile, I'll keep going and be happy, and be happy that anyone wants to talk about it or hear about it. And
Yeah.
and of course, best make a great rock show, and everyone can enjoy it. So
Sure, man. The last track, Gone. Let's say I'm gonna develop a new genre here. How about psychedelic prog? Psychedelic prog rock.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
You see, Germany Deutschland is Germany, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a gentleman over there who loves that song. He said it's the best thing I've heard in a long time.
Really? Very cool.
Yeah, I should be able to give you his name, but unfortunately, he's got a show over there. Yeah. So I was surprised. He was one of the first people who contacted me about, I love this song. Can you come on our show? And and all that. So yeah.
It's a great album, man. I'll give it 5 stars.
All right. I'll take any stars you got.
Yeah.
But thank you. So nice. And
very enjoyable album, man. I can't wait to see it live though.
Yeah.
And please come to Florida. Don't just go to Europe.
I'll go anywhere. Yeah. We got a puppet show down there we can open for. Right?
There you go.
Florida.
I'm going to ask Val some questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, what was your relationship? I heard El Chicano somewhere. Did you do something with El Chicano?
That was the first hit that I engineered.
Really?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I remember those days, man. El Chicano, Malo, Santana.
Did a remake of Brown Eyed Girl.
Yeah. And they also did Tell Her She's Lovely. That was a big hit.
But Brown Eyed Girl was a big hit. It sounded like the Mexican Everly Brothers.
Yeah, exactly. Very, very cool. I haven't heard. I heard that, and I said, "Man, I haven't heard El Chicano in a long time." Those were the good old days back in the day. I'm half Cuban, so anything with a Latin beat, I'm gonna love.
It was definitely a Latin beat. It had congas and timbales and everything in it.
Yeah, we need a Cuban rock band. A Cuban prog rock band. That'd be awesome.
I also produced Carlos Santana as well, so I did kind of both ends of the spectrum in that world.
I've had a guy you've worked with many times on the show, many times. Love this guy, Peter Asher.
Oh yeah,
Peter's a great guy. He really is. Yeah. You guys work together, I guess, with James Taylor and Linda Ronstadt.
And Andrew Gold and JD.
Andrew Gold. Yeah.
Bonnie Raitt. Yeah, we did a lot of records together.
Yep. Good guy, man. Another band that you produced, the Motels. I had Martha Davis on the show. I was always a big fan of the Motels. And you did All for One album, right?
I did their
All for One?
Two biggest albums, All for One and Little Robbers, that both had big hits. Those were both platinum records. All for One had Only the Lonely and Mission of Mercy and Take the L, and then Little Robbers had Suddenly Last Summer, which was a big hit.
That was a big hit. It was one of my favorite tunes, actually.
I also directed the video for that movie.
Oh, you did? Huh. That was great.
That was a funny story because she originally wanted the two guys from Godley and Cream to they were directing videos at the time, and we had a meeting at my studio, and didn't go well. And so
Really?
she said, the meeting, she said, well, why don't we just do it? And I went, well, okay. So she got a storyboard together, and I happened to be reading an article in the Sunday LA Times in the entertainment section about they did an article on John Alonzo, who was a famous cinematographer who did Chinatown. He did Norma Ray. He
Hmm.
did Sounder. He did all these great movies. And so out of the clear blue sky, because we wanted to make it like a film noir kind of video. So I called up his agent and said, do you think he'd be interested in doing a music video with the motels? And he accepted. And we went up to Santa Barbara and shot the whole thing in one day. We did 22 setups in one day with his 35 millimeter Panavision camera, and edited it all in film and then transferred it to video.
That was great. Incredible. Got a lot of great memories with that, with the motels.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you've had a lot of successes, but Betty Davis Eyes with Kim Carnes, that's gotta be way up there for you, huh?
That's the 12th biggest pop single in the history of the music business.
I believe it. Yeah.
Not bad. I mean, I beat John Lennon for the record of the year.
Wow. I'm sure I'm surprised they didn't call you up and did you know any of the Beatles? Oh, you knew Ringo for sure.
And I met Paul through Peter, actually.
Through Peter Asher, yeah.
We wanted to go see Paul McCartney and Wings at the
Mhm.
time for him. And after the show, we all got to go backstage with Peter because Peter's sister Jane used to date Paul. So
That's right.
he also lived in Peter's house. Paul did upstairs in the early 60s. So he knew Paul pretty well. And so we went and met him after the show. And it was funny because Andrew Gold was with us, and Andrew was a complete nut. He was a Beatles maniac. He could play every song, every lick. And I know he was just chafing at the bit, trying to, couldn't wait to ask McCartney this question. And it was about the song And Your Bird Can Sing. And he backstage and finally got face to face with him, and he goes, that guitar part that you did, the double today, and how did you do that? And Paul just sort of went, don't know.
Just came to me.
Well, you don't remember everything,
You don't. I got to remind a lot of guys about their music, they always ask me, Ray, how did that song go again? What was the title of that? It's pretty funny. But Peter Asher was first one to hear Hard Day's Night before it was released. They actually brought it to him in the house when he was in the house with I think it was Paul and John, and they asked him what he thought about that song, about Hard Day's Night. And I thought that was pretty cool. He goes way back with him.
It was also Paul was writing Hey Jude, and people heard that early on, and that was originally titled Hey Julian.
Right.
A song written to Julian Lennon during the divorce of his mother and father, trying to tell him not to feel bad and that things would get better and move forward. And then Paul, I read in an article where he felt it was a little too pointed to say Hey Julian, so he changed it to Hey Jude.
Everybody thought that was about heroin, shooting up heroin at one time. Remember that?
Well, I mean, I lived through one of those similar things too.
Yeah.
When Peter's first wife was Betsy Asher, and they were many years when they first moved from England to the United States, and James did that first Warner Brothers James Taylor record that had Fire and Rain on it. And
sure.
And they when I first started working with Peter, they were married and living together up at the top of Coldwater Canyon, and they, whatever, fell on hard times and split up, and they were getting a divorce, and James and J.D. Souther wrote a song about Betsy Asher called Her Town Too. Everyone thought it was about James and Carly, but it was about Peter and Betsy, because in the lyrics it said she gets the house and the garden, he gets the boys in the band. That's originally what that song was written about.
Huh. Interesting lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah. The last time I had Peter on the show, we were promoting Kate Taylor, James's sister.
And I met all of them because
Yep.
when James, that was a funny story because we were doing the Flag record in New York because we had to do half the record in New York and half in LA so that we could accommodate James. And we were working on a track called Brother Trucker, and he wanted his who was living in Martha's Vineyard at the time. He wanted his brother to sing on the backgrounds on it. So we had him come down from Martha's Vineyard to the city, and we got done at like 3 a.m, and we needed a place for him to stay. And so Peters was calling around trying to find a hotel, and all he could find that night was a suite at the at the hotel in New York, at the Palace Hotel, I think it was. And so, James was like, yeah, it's okay. I put him in the hotel for the night. It's no big deal. It's my brother. We put him in, and he checked out about 28 days later.
That's funny.
Alex, I don't think he's alive anymore. I think he died.
Yeah, he did. I did mention him on the show. I had Livingston on the show, who's a great guy, man. He's playing music, and he did all kinds of stuff on the show. He was neat. If you ever talk to Kate Taylor again, she had a huge, huge crush on Jesse Colin Young, and she still talks about it.
I met him because I grew up in San Francisco.
Yep.
He was very involved in that music scene up there.
Yeah, I'm kind of friends with Jesse. I've had him on the show many times. He's a great guy, really good guy. Joaquin Garay. Who's that guy, huh?
That's my father. And oddly enough, I just posted the picture of him and I and my sister today. He would have been 112 if he lived this long. And
wow. Now, a lot of people don't know Panchito Pistoles, 1944 Walt Disney film, The Three Caballeros. How about that?
The third movie Walt Disney did.
That's incredible, man.
Yeah, sang all the songs.
Awesome.
I got Walt Disney when I was a kid because I got to go down there to LA.
Really?
Yeah, I met him. I haven't had a couple of original gels from that movie, because the way they did animation, then they painted them on gels.
So you have Mexican background then, right?
Well, my father was born in Mexico, I would say.
You speak Spanish?
Yeah, but my father, my father's side of the family,
right,
are all Latin. In that my grandfather, my last name is pronounced Garay.
Garay, okay.
Basque name, and my grandfather was born in the north of Spain.
Oh, really?
Migrated to Mexico, and that's where my dad. Yeah, because Garay is not a common Latin name, but Spain. Every time I go to Spain, walk in the hotel, they go, "Oh, Mr. Garay, how are you today?" They know James is like Jones there.
Right.
But in the Latin world, Mexico and Latin America, very uncommon. But my father's Joaquin, my grandfather's Joaquin, my brother's Joaquin. Yeah.
My abuela came to Cuba by way of Spain. She was in Asturias. And also my grandfather was from Spain as well. They migrated. I was born here. My brother was born in Cuba.
You been to Cuba?
Only as a baby.
Oh, okay, because Kelly can tell you the story. On my birthday 2 years ago, I wanted to have my birthday in Havana.
Right.
Due to COVID and all the restrictions, it made it too difficult. So we rented this 6,000 square foot mansion in Cabo on the beach, and we had 10 people, including Kelly and Tracy and all these people for my birthday. And we had a big party catered that was called Havana Night. So we had hats, and the cigars, and
great time, legendary.
Awesome. Did you drink rum and Coke?
Drink everything.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Thank you for inviting me to that. It was great.
That's cool.
fun,
It's a
huh?
great party. Yeah.
Fun.
Play some Celia Cruz in the background.
Yeah, my assistants texted me. What does he want here?
I saw some other guys that you worked with. I was curious about. You said you worked with Kenny Rogers, Eric Burden, who I always been a big fan of Eric. I've met him a couple of times. What did you do with Eric Burden? One of his albums? Did you produce one of his albums?
No, I did a title song for a feature film with Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan,
Oh, okay.
Joe versus the Volcano.
Right. That's a good movie.
Yeah.
And the title song we did was a remake of the Tennessee Ernie Ford song 16 Tons.
Right. I remember that.
So I did that
Yeah.
with Eric, and it was fun. I mean, Eric's great. I mean, he and I kind of grew up in the same period,
Mhm.
physically and age-wise. He's the same age as I am, I think.
Really. I tell you, man, you look great.
Yeah.
You look awesome.
He's
Yeah.
a rock star.
Well,
No doubt.
He looks really good.
Kelly
Crazy.
was at my 80th birthday party.
You're kidding me. Wow.
Good
That's
time.
crazy.
He's like Rod Stewart. I mean, it's crazy. I could be so lucky. I don't know. The genes.
The gene. It's got to be the genes. Yeah. Another person that I really admired that we lost way too young was Nicolette Larson, man.
Oh, yeah. She was a dear close friend, too.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. She was married to Russ, and Russ and I have worked together for how many years? Sad, but
it is sad. She had so much more music to give us.
That same groove that Glenn Frey did, when you get 2 or 3 things going wrong at the same time.
Yeah, I know. Unfortunate, very, very unfortunate. I got just a couple of producer questions for you. What's the most important quality of a great producer? And
I would say, one of the most important things is the ability to listen.
Okay. Listen to the artist.
Yeah. A lot of people, that produce, I don't think really listen enough. I think they just have a preconceived notion, or they decide for themselves what they should do with something. I've never done that. I always spend a lot of time listening and formulating.
Yeah, sometimes it's one-sided, isn't it? The producer telling the artist, or the artist telling the producer, I guess. So you guys, I guess, worked very well together, huh? In the studio.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Lucky. I mean, you can hear it, and that's really the bottom line. The results are audible, and I don't. It's a big world with millions of singer-songwriter bands and famous people, and they don't all make good records that sound good. I mean, everybody wants to, but sometimes it has to come together for unknown reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Val has made a lot of those records. But for me to have it happen to me is a huge thing. To hear something that I had thought of in my mind come out, into the real world in a big way. It's wonderful, and it's because of Val's expertise. And Val knows what he wants to hear. He knows it because he's done it a million times,
Mm-hmm.
and he does not he doesn't have to try at it. He's good at it, and he has a natural ability to do the right thing. Definitely with what I was getting at, and that's a huge thing that could have gone either way. And there's no way to know, except for when you have an expert or a guru or a genius who's doing the work for you, and who gets what you're doing. For whatever the reasons are, you're lucky. And that's why I say I'm so lucky that I have worked with Val, and he did exactly what I would have only hoped somebody could do. And there's no, I don't know. I think that's all on him. I have to step back from any kind of thinking what I did to make it work. I brought something to him that maybe he just was looking to get into, and was enough meat there on the to put it together and make a feast out of it. So I don't know how that all works, but I think that's how it goes together.
It seems like Val knows when he knows it's right. Also,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He doesn't work it to death. Take 10, take 20, take 30, like the old days,
No, I've never done that. I mean, if he gets to 5, I'm like, okay, let's move on and come back.
Yeah. That's a smart
thing. Different. I mean, I think that's he knows. He knows, like I say, he knows, like a chef, he knows how to make it right. And he doesn't have to think, oh, what am I going to try to guess a new thing this time? He just goes right in there and makes it happen. And that's not that common. Nowadays, people, like I said, everyone thinks, oh, I can do this. Oh, you've heard the record, so you can you've heard people's records, so you think you can make them. But that's not the same as being the one who can actually make the record, make it sound great. Even drum sound, everything, every aspect of it is a huge thing that he knows he's really good at. And he has some tricks, but I won't reveal those.
It's so different today. I mean, a lot of albums are being made.
I have no secrets. It's like I could tell somebody exactly how I do something, and I've done this times. I can tell them exactly how I do something.
Right.
They'll do it, and it won't be the same. So I have no secrets, and I share everything that way.
He does. I'm just not going to tell you what they are.
Val, do you believe in the old traditional way of being in the studio and not sending clips by MP3 across the world to another guy and adding in the music, that kind of thing, which happens a lot today.
In today's world, people do that, and I've done it, but that's not the way that I did Kelly Deco's record, and I did a Richie Furay country album like 2 years ago, where we did it in Nashville with all the best studio musicians. And when you got 6 guys looking at each other, things happen. When you start to figure out how to get all those dynamics and do it by overdubbing to a track that you created from, it's never the same, because you have to production wise build in the dynamics. Then when it gets to the chorus, you add a bigger kick drum, whereas in a session with a guy playing, he gets to the chorus, they tend to push a little more, they tend to hit it harder, whatever, and you can't replace that. Kids today are so used to listening to these programmed monotone computer generated tracks that they don't miss that. But I'll tell you an interesting story. My friend who runs the he runs the entire royalty division of Universal Music, which is the biggest record label in the world now.
Sure.
They've gobbled everybody up. They're twice the size of Sony and 10 times the size of Warner Brothers. And, they have all these great artists, all the biggest acts, Taylor Swift and Billie Eilish, and I can't tell you, The Weeknd. They have everybody. So I said to him, because my royalty stream has quadrupled in the last 6 or 7 years, and I said, I don't get it. What happened here? Why? He said, because old music outsells new music. Music from 1975 to 2000 outsells the modern music of any of it. I mean, you can't, maybe Taylor Swift is huge, but when you get past the top 5, it goes down dramatically. And I can only tell you, and I can show you, I have a program that I subscribe to called Muso AI, which tracks all of your streaming program. And if I go to analytics, this is how many streams the music I created has right now. I don't know if you can read.
Cow, you got to be kidding me. Wow.
And then if you look at the list of songs, Size has 156 million. December 63 has 435 million.
Wow.
Summer Breeze has 217 million. Blue Bayou has 150 million. And it just goes on, and it's, you know, it's because all these the other reason is all these phones that people buy, they're often bundled with a music service, and they don't
Right.
even know it. And so you put that worldwide, and it's like, it's gigantic
Yeah.
what's happening. I mean, I lived through the vinyl to the CD era, so everybody bought all the records that I made in vinyl, all ran out and bought them in CDs. So that
Yeah.
was like a windfall. And then when the whole vinyl and CD thing went down the toilet, everybody was like, well, that's kind of the end of the music business. And then it came back like with a vengeance, which
Yep.
is it's the biggest it's ever been because of streaming.
I'm glad to hear that. You
Oh
know,
man.
I'm old school all the way, man.
Yeah,
You
well,
know,
I'm just telling you, you know, it's insane what's happened. And it's because kids that buy music today are infatuated now with music that was created in that time period.
we were so lucky though back in the day. I mean, 60s, there's no better time for top 40 radio. You had Frank Sinatra, you had Motown, you had the Beatles, you had everybody on one station. Every genre was on one station, you know? And then we went to the record stores to buy the 45 or
Oh
the
yeah.
album, you know? It was great times back then. I'm so lucky to have grown up in the 60s, because I think
Yeah.
that was a great time. I just I don't know. What do you think of the industry today? I mean, a lot of people say it's not an industry anymore. You
Oh, you
know,
gotta be kidding. It's huge.
you think so?
Come on, man. He told me, my friend who runs the royalties division,
Right?
how much money they paid Billie Eilish
Why?
last year.
To me, that's not a lot of talent there. I grew up with Carole King and Carly
But it's different.
Simon.
It's different. See, here's the thing that somebody said to me when I was in my 50s, and they said, you know, the danger in the music business is if you start listening to music and go, that's just not for me anymore. And I don't
Right?
hear it. And so I was always afraid of that. So I always try to look into what it is about the music that is happening right now, that what is it that, you know, that's drawing attention to it.
Right?
She's an incredibly unique artist. I mean, she's just insanely unique. Whether you like it or not, she's just unique. They paid her 50 million bucks last year.
See, I don't see it. I'll be honest with you. I don't
I
see Taylor Swift either selling out stadiums.
oh, man, the girl's an incredible songwriter.
I disagree.
Oh no,
You know,
Staying out of it.
I put all my focus into progressive rock. There's a lot of great artists. I
Yeah.
mean, I bring guys in from Germany and Norway and Sweden. These
Yeah.
guys are very talented musicians.
Yeah,
You
certainly
know, they're the real McCoy, and they're
Yeah,
not
but
singing.
the guy who plays all her stuff and produces her, he's incredibly talented. I mean,
Yeah,
those tracks that he creates, they're so weird.
but
And
her selling out stadiums, I don't get, man. I don't know. It's
I
um,
get
you get. Well, yeah, you do. You're the professional.
There you go.
it.
The
I mean,
long live 70s rock, though, too. You know, there's
I'm just a critic. You
oh,
know,
nice, man. That girl is so smart. She's beyond. I mean, she manages everything herself. She produces everything. She, you know, books her tours. I mean, oh
yeah.
my God.
I've heard that too.
Yeah, maybe I don't pay enough attention to her, you know? It could be.
I think you're,
Not your cup
you're
of
doing
tea.
what you want.
You're not a girl 14 years old, so it's not directed at you.
Right.
But you have to see that there's an unbelievable. I mean, when you listen to her vocals and her singing on, you know, Romeo, that first hit was a country record, and then you listen to it today, it's like night and day. I
Yeah.
mean, she's
I'll
come up.
I'll give her another listen. Oh,
No, it's not.
I'll try.
Not 13 years old and a girl, and that's the audience that I mean, when you go to a Taylor Swift concert and you're a Swiftie,
Mm,
99% of the audience. I mean, because I got friends that have kids that age,
right.
and they go to the concerts with them, and they're like, "Hey, wasn't bad." She changed clothes 100 times. The sets were phenomenal.
Right.
She puts together a show that is pretty mind blowing.
Yeah. Now I think Pink is amazing because of what she does with
But yeah, but she's a whole different.
Yeah.
Pink is was pretty much a white girl doing R&B that was
Right.
signed by Terry Jam and those guys to that label, and they just knew she had the juice, and
Mhm.
she's a great singer.
Oh, give me a good rock show any day.
Yeah. Right on, brother.
Okay. That's all I
Well,
got.
I'll tell you, I went to crypto about 3 weeks ago and paid $500 a ticket to go to the the rock guitar show that was put on by Eric Clapton.
Yeah,
Mm.
Blues Festival. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was interesting to see all these. In fact, Peter Asher actually got up on stage and did a song with what's the guy's name? The English artist. I can't think of his name. English rock guitar guy. Peter got up on stage and sang
Mhm.
"World Without Love" with him.
Oh,
which was
cool.
kind of
Yeah, he still got it.
Marshall stacks all over the stage and winding guitars. They stopped and did this, Peter and Gordon song, which was cute.
Yeah.
But
So you know what's missing today? The bands, like in the old
Right.
days. That's what's
Kelly
missing,
Deco.
right? There's no groups. There's no Deep Purple,
There you
Led
go.
Zeppelin.
Ah,
You
there
know,
go. Yes.
yeah,
that's
well,
what's missing.
that
Rock
kind of
show.
that kind of era is
Rock and
gone.
roll guitar players and drummers and piano players.
We need to bring it back. That's
We-
why
we-
I'm so
we do.
interested in the prog guys.
Count me in.
Yeah.
No, I agree. The prog guys are great too. Val has forgotten that he has another interview.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Can I ask you one last question?
Sure.
This is a question I ask everybody. I get some really interesting answers. If you had a Field of Dreams wish, like the movie, one of my favorite movies, to perform or collaborate with anyone from the past or present or produce collaboration, who would that be? And this is for both of you.
I get asked that a lot, and the only artist that I could conceive of wanting to work with, because I've pretty much worked with just about everybody. I couldn't have asked for a more complete career.
Right.
But I think it would be Paul McCartney, because we're the same age and we came out of the same period of music.
That's the number one answer, by the way.
Well,
Wow.
I mean, the guy's that creative, and but I played in bands and I played cover songs that
Right.
we did all that in that 1960s early era.
Well, why don't you approach Paul and make it happen?
Oh, I don't know. Never carry it out. Almost left as a dream.
Yeah. Kelly, how about you?
I would have to agree, but I would have to say that the Bee Gees would be right next to that.
Yeah.
Around-
But
around
but I've worked with
Yeah.
him, so I know him, and he's incredibly talented.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He writes all those songs and uses an open tuning. It's really interesting.
It's
Mm.
amazing. There's some amazing people who have gone down
Yeah,
the
yeah.
road, and we're lucky.
Oh, I have to get off of here because I got to go do this
Yeah.
other.
Thank you, Val. Thank you for being on the show, man. I appreciate it. Great album. You did a wonderful job.
Thank you, Val. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay.
All right, man. Take care.
Take care.
But we're still on. Rock
Okay,
and roll.
Yeah, rock and roll, rock show. Here, let's get to rock. I'll get my guitar. I'm going jumping around.
Yeah, man.
No,
but
I'm firmly in the core in the group of people who believe that was the best era of the 70s.
it was. It
You
was.
had a lot of energy, a lot of honesty,
Yeah.
and you can sell. I'm not looking to sell, large amount of records. I'm looking to have a thing that I do that's
Sure.
honest, and people go and do it like, yeah, look at that, that's cool. I can't believe I saw this. It reminded me of something from the, whatever, etc. Or even the record, you put it on, it plays like something from the past,
Hmm.
and yeah, that's enough. No one's going to compete with these big names. You're not going to fill up the stadium, for teeny boppers,
Right.
and unless you are one, and
Yeah.
I'm not. So there you go. It's not even within the realm of possibility. But it is great that legacy bands who've been around and still are around
Yep.
have a place, and they can still fill auditoriums or
That's
smaller
right.
places, and people love it, and I'm glad for that. And Deco Records, by the way,
Hmm.
that's one of the things that they work with, is a lot of legacy acts, and I'm glad that they were kind enough to bring me into their fold of artists. And so, and again, like you mentioned before, Chipster, and all the great, like you said,
Yep.
the album, and the album will be coming out of Kelly Deco Constellation, and you'll be able to see it. I'll send it to you. You can hold
Okay.
it. You can see the picture and the whole thing. And
Oh, it's great.
so,
Yeah,
yeah, so
it's wonderful.
it's a world of different things. I've
Yeah.
worked in the film business for years and years, over 40 years, and worked with some great directors, and there's different genres of great movies too. So everyone's got their place. Just stay alive and stay in it, and
Hmm.
that's the biggest thing. If you can stay alive, stay in it, keep going. Don't go down any really weird, ugly paths that you might not ever come back from.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
be real. Be real. Hold what you got close.
Yep.
Be real.
I agree.
Wind yourself up and get out there. That's really.
That's
And
right. I can't wait till you tour.
yeah.
What's your expectations about hitting the road a little bit?
So so the first of the year we start with a new marketing plan, a new PR group,
Okay.
uh, and then that starts with a new video, and then
Right.
from there they target where the shows go first.
Okay.
So I'm meanwhile just preparing to do the shows, and working with the band, rehearsing with the band, and
You're gonna have to hit Europe. Definitely, right?
absolutely. No, I just that's one thing with the company is they Deco has got Cargo Records
Hmm.
affiliation, distribution, so we can get over there too. And yeah, absolutely. All through Europe, all the interesting little, like say, places, interesting out of the way places,
Hmm.
where great rock show bands or welcome.
Yeah.
That'd be me if I can get there, and I will. I'll do it.
I interviewed Joe Bonamassa yesterday.
Yeah, there you go. See,
There
they're
you
great.
go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
So I mean, all that,
yeah,
any great. There's so many great artists,
there is.
and I am an artist who's got a unique thing,
Hmm.
and bumped into some people who did a great job with it, and the rest is going to be up to me to get out there and
Exactly.
burn the candle hard, and put on a great show. And
Kelly, I got to ask, what was your first concert that you went to?
It was Peter Frampton. If it wasn't Peter Frampton, it would have been the Tubes, one of the other.
Hmm.
I think there was a small little stadium in the town I lived in, and I think it was Rod Stewart and Peter Frampton.
Oh wow.
So Rod, yeah, early it was Faces. It was the Faces. Yeah.
Right, right.
That was great. It was always that guitar, piano, that sound, that the sound of
Yeah.
a band banging away, and someone up there running around like some nut job out there rocking and rolling. I've
Rock
loved
and
that.
Rod.
Yeah, no, I love all that, the whole thing, and
Yeah.
yeah, in fact, yeah, well, early on, all the '70s, late '70s, we had I lived in Northern California. I'm
Mhm.
also from the Bay Area, like Val Garay grew up in, and we got we had a lot of great thanks to Bill Graham. You had a lot of great shows, and a lot of
He was
interesting
a
stuff.
genius. Bill
Yeah,
Graham was a genius.
yeah. Well, he took
No.
care of he took care of his artists
Yeah.
too, and
Yeah.
looked after them, got them up there, and got them to do their things. And
That's right.
through the years, I bumped into a lot of different musicians and different drummers, guitar players, etc., who have worked with him. And one of the first recordings that I had done was at the now famous the Plant Studios in Sausalito.
Playing studios. Yeah.
Yeah, so I saw early on, I got to be around the scene and see it and be a part of it,
Right.
and so I've always felt that's where I belong. So I'm lucky to have that kind of inherent feeling in me that I'm just carrying it on and just going to keep going with rock show and and leave everything else to other people. Whatever they do, that's their thing. And and I don't. That's not my thing. So,
I'm really interested to see how you put this together on stage. I mean, it could be a lot of ways. You can do kind of a Welcome to My Nightmare tour, like Alice Cooper did, with all the theatrics, or there's so many ways you can go, really,
absolutely,
with this material.
Yeah, so it will.
But it depends on the cost as well.
Exactly. How do you do it, and how do you pull it off, and how do you make it work every time, and how do you make it part of a cinematic or a theatrical event that's not over the top? A friend of mine is Prairie Prince from the Tubes.
Yeah, I know Prairie. Yeah, he was on the show.
Yeah. And he's doing the Gilmore Project, right? With they're doing Pink Floyd songs with Kasim from who's over at Deco too. But anyways,
right.
The thing is, he always said that because I asked him, I said, "What are these songs? How come they're so drawn out and interesting?" He said, "Well, they're all about their dance routines. And so the show is because of the dance routines and things." And so I've always thought about how that works, and do I bring dancers on? Do I just we're definitely going for the format of backing singers and rock band, and you can see the singers are cranked up pretty high in the mix. So that's a part of the whole thing. Originally, when I was going to go just start doing shows, it was just going to be myself and the singers. Period. Just blow it out just with acoustic guitar or piano or something, because that's where the power of the record comes from. That whole that movement, you can feel it right there without the rest. But realistically, a rock show needs to have a rock god on guitar and a drummer like Keith Moon. And pretty much when I auditioned all these players, I would use those terms and say, "Well, can you play this and can you play that?" And the drummer who played on the record plays in a Stones, Beatles, and Who tribute band, so he can.
Oh, really?
When I mentioned the reference, I said, "Okay, this is going to be mostly Keith Moon right now," and so great, and he did it. And I pushed him real hard. I said, "No, really, I'm dead serious. This is where, we're doing. The bass is going to do double time, and you're going to do half time, or vice, and then you're not going to even think the snare exists. You're going to use everything else, and just try to forget that you even have a snare there." And then he did it. He did a great job, the guy. But been real lucky with musicians.
Yeah, tight band, very tight band. Yeah.
People.
Well, Kelly.
Yes, sir.
Looking forward to it, man. Looking forward to it. Love the album. I want to say special thanks to Chipster PR, of course, for arranging this interview today with Val and Kelly. You can purchase Constellation by Kelly Deco, produced by Val Garay. And the official release date on that is, I had it somewhere. Is it December?
For the record, it's coming out now. Yeah,
it's coming. Is it coming out? Is it out now or not yet?
You can get it from Deco Entertainment.
You can get it from Deco. Okay, so it's available right now from Deco Entertainment.
Yep.
Awesome. And they can also go to your website, which is kellydeco.com. Also, you're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and of course, Val Garay.
I'm out there.
You're everywhere.
If I do enough of these shows, maybe we'll sell some records and they'll get on a tour and have a great time.
Okay, well, I'll promote the hell out of it.
I really appreciate it. And I'll come to your town.
That'll be great. I'm in the Tampa Bay area.
All right, I love it. Love Florida.
A lot of great venues around here.
Oh yeah, no, I think. Great place to live.
Definitely.
Lots of good food and good people.
Yep. Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks for sticking up with me.
No, it's rock show. Come on. Sorry.
I appreciate it.
Rock, yeah.
All right, man. Take care. Bye-bye.